Okay, it's been some time since I recorded, mostly because I've been harassed by the oligarchs McRaven and the President of the United States, violating both my civil and constitutional rights. And they're going to say, they just said, you can't prove it. Actually, I can. Problem is, you keep trying to put bullets in the heads of all the lawyers I try to talk to. So, yeah, now I understand McRaven's doing this not just because he's a white nationalist and I know overthrow and wants to overthrow the Constitution, but because, well, he's trying to stay alive. So I can't understand that. Unfortunately, he's using uh, active duty Navy SEALs once again, which means this has to be working with the president, unless President Biden has lost control over the admirals and they're just doing what they want to do. Because right now they're also trying to reestablish Stavridis's name for also overthrowing the Constitution. Because most of those Navy admirals, a good chunk of them, are Southern sympathizers and secessionists. See, the reason Raven's been attacking me is because the archetype that I represent is counter to the narrative they have been using for decades, generations, to pick the pockets of European Americans and keep black African Americans to keep themselves poor, or not just poor, but impoverished. You know, see, Biden is going on the fact that he thinks he'll be able to get reelected, use me to get reelected, then throw me away, and then I get nothing, and all this, and Constitution's open, wide open, and he can say, well, what did Trump say? I'm just going to be a dictator for a day. No, we can't let that happen with any president. That much power, it's just too much. Then he's like, well, you're having all that. Exactly. That's the reason I'm doing it. That's the reason I have to stop King Charles, because it won't stop. So the question is, how is it done? Well, remember Uncle Tom's Cabin? You have Uncle Tom and the Sambo. Now, everyone talks about Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom in the story. If you Henry Louis Gates, if you don't feel like reading the book, go look him up. I think he had a statement one place, I don't remember, years ago, where he did say what was obvious in the book. Uncle Tom was actually the hero. Uncle Tom was the one who stood up for himself, who had a safe place, where it was a good place to go. That's why it was Uncle Tom's Cabin. Sambo was the one who would come up to Massa and start dry humping his leg and whatever, Massa, whatever you need, Massa. And then be like, don't be an Uncle Tom. Don't be like that guy who stands up for himself. Case in point is the gentleman who lives around his neighborhood, my mother's neighborhood, who rides around on his little thing and little cart noise loud as all get out. Shouldn't be that way. That's not the way we live in the types of neighborhoods I live in. And he's sitting there talking to me, trying to lead the conversation like, "Oh, you remember back over there?" No, motherfucker, I never went to Blacktown when I was a kid. I never lived around you. I don't know anything about the way you lived. I don't want to know anything about the way you live. Quite honest, I should not have to. What you did to my brother disgusts me. And then when I said, it was like, oh, and what my mom did to us disgusts me. Us by meaning her children, because being around your fucktards. Because even he said, yeah, yeah, and laughing, ha ha, as I was discussing it with him. He's a Sambo. He's the true Uncle Tom, just like Uncle Thomas. That's the Sambos are what the white nationalists want black Americans to continue to think because he said like I made it. Oh, the fuck out of here. He hasn't made shit. The greatest danger I pose to them in this position is that I am not asking for their permission for my success or for my capital or anything else. Just by playing by the rules. which they changed because the rules from their perspectives are the rules are for me but not for thee. You remember Biden was part of the crime bill that decimated the black African American community and picked the pockets of and destroyed the American middle class, which was its main purpose because that's where all the money was at. Get you looking over there, so pick your pockets over here. But hey, you get to be in the club, right? You got my next door neighbor who's fucking bigot, not very intelligent, but he's a psychopathic bigot. Entered in my place, smelly little fucker. Then he put in something for some some other shit. Oh, that was dealing with my brother. The Ravens hell bent to trying to get me, my screwed up my credit. And then when I go to get something that's within the bounds of my credit, they go, "Oh, you can't get that." I mean, even when I went to buy a car, even the car guy's like, "This doesn't make sense. You should, with your credit score, you should very well be able to get this." Shows how much power they're using. Then try to send me to some dude to get me trapped in a freaking debt trap. Now we're cool. This is what that black African American guy reminds me of Marcus Mendez. I was in Iceland, which McRaven sent. Um, Dude had never. He was 20 years, couldn't make it past E6, but he, along with Bontrager, who is a white nationalist, harassed or whatever. And for harassing me, he gets to put on the gold stripes just for his E6 retirement. He was the most incompetent piece of shit I've ever met. Sambo to the core. So full of shit, his eyes are always popping out. And I guarantee you, he's sitting there telling stories about how he played me, thinking I didn't know. But he had help because by himself, straight up, there's no way in hell. And he had to have lots of help, which comes back down to the SEALs. So not a lot of the Navy SEALs, almost they. Sorry guys, but this is just how it is. A lot of you did not get through without help from McRaven, and he believed you either a white nationalist or you fit into the compartment where you are not going to be a bother. Because the white nationalists and the oligarchs are using the SEALs and special forces to create their little shock troop, their SS, and then they have those trained and ready to train others. See, the thing is, what they're worried about with me more so, it's not that because they'll try to say, well, he's going to take 15% from the nobles of Great Britain, and I'm not taking, they are voluntarily saying that they are not trying to overthrow the crown. It is up to them. And yes, I'm taking equity. And the quality and the quantity of the equity matter. Now, the next generation will be probably just, we have this opportunity if you wish to, but you get to keep your, how you do it. This is normal behavior within a kingdom, not doing anything unusual. But drives them nuts. And actually, I can feel their anger, their rage about it. In their position, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to, 75 years, 50 years or so, whatever. Or 70 years, however long Queen Elizabeth was on the throne, made a lot of money under her reign. Can't give it to good causes now, can you? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, and King Charles thinks he's gonna. Well, I'll just take it over. Yeah, right. You're an idiot, you dumb motherfucker. Whatever they give to you will have strings, and they will make you pay. But you get your ego. Get over it. This shit's happening, especially for the fact that you're trying to overthrow the Constitution of the United States and the EU, destroy the European Union, because that's what this is going to lead to. Putin knew what he was doing. He played you and Camilla and William like a fucking fiddle. Yeah, I know, Prince William, your main thing is angry contempt, is your main emotion state. Logical contempt. People don't think I know. Yeah, get over yourself, dude. Not saying you don't know. I don't fucking care personally. I got shit to do. You still rain? And you're loaded. Oh, but you want to circle jerk your dad. That's cool. I get it. You know, you only got one dad. But if your dad's going to frickin' get you killed, then I have to step in. And what your dad's about to do is about to get you and your family killed. If it means removing you from the throne and the right of succession, so fucking be it. But he's going to do that to see if I will. Soon coming up to the find out part of this equation. See, what they want, what the American oligarchs want is for, because this goes back to, well, today I placed a talking about this situation with them, because being followed by the active duty SEALs and everything, and McRaven's back in the, thinking he's back in the saddle. I got him to control the master of bullshit. Um, because what the thing is, as I said, the main worry is I have, when I keep thinking, like, hear the thoughts of the universe, and I hear they go, we, the oligarchs say, we can't allow you to do. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. First off, this is none of your fucking business, and I'm not asking for your permission. Personally, I don't want your permission. Because to get your permission would be something like you have that shit with Jay Z, where Jay Z did that little Bitcoin thing or whatever coin thing where he was trying to rip off all the black Americans, that kind of shit. And if I have your permission, I don't have my power. And also, because if I have power, it's like the Sambo knows, I'm not investing in people like him. He's not face to face. Oh, fuck that. He's a jackass. But investing in those Black Americans and European Americans, because oh yeah, yeah, because I really don't care about race. That's the other part that scares you, because I don't give a shit about race. Veteran-owned businesses, you know, cross the gambit. That whole competition thing that you love to talk about, but completely destroy, where we have no choice in any metric of across any of these um, any industries. Invest in a bunch of little small businesses. Hey, that are, might be a veteran-owned business over here, might be a Black American business over here, maybe a middle-class person over here, a European American here, Taiwan American here, another Chinese American. I don't give a fuck. What kind of person are they is all that matters to me. You know, that makes me a threat. The greatest threat they have had. And that's not even talking about the fact of destroying the Constitution and the constitutional conventions they're trying to come up with. You are terrified of me, and you should be, and I'm going to rip your ass and fucking you. Because for this to work, I have to have my independent power from you, from them. Kathleen Kennedy's still doing her shit. She used the Rosicrucians. Her and McRaven have raided people who took the Rosicrucians to learn, then steal their shit and used it for power. You have Schumer thinking, "Oh, we'll just keep this going. We'll just use him to get votes." You guys are, this is what's going down. Black America. This is the reason I said he's being a bigot. So remember that thing I said about McRaven using getting the data during the primaries on all the other bigots that were Trump supporters. What they're going to do, this is how they always work it. This is that call. This is what Fox did when they first started off. It's the same behavior. Remember when came up? They had all this black programming. As soon as they got an audience, they kicked all the black programming to the curb. Remember in Living Color and shit? This is the same shit, but they're about to do it with the lecturing. See, like Sambo said, "Oh, President, that motherfucker, they don't want you to have that much power, you dumb fucks. There are no black oligarchs. I would be the first masters of the universe." That terrifies them because I don't have to listen to them. What it means by masters of the universe means I don't have to listen to them. I do as I please. And since I'm royalty, every attack on me is an attack on Great Britain and the Commonwealth of Nations. McRaven and apparently President Biden have unilaterally declared war on Europe, Great Britain, and the Commonwealth of Nations, as well as the United States itself. And he goes, "Oh, you're just no, I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not much of a shit talker." That's one of the things that Sambo was trying to play. "Oh, we used to play that," and I'm like, "Nah, that was never me, dude. I'm an introvert. Never really got into the whole the mama says bullshit. Not my thing. I never tried to be funny. Not my thing. If anything, people said I was too intense. That's my thing." So, back to what I'm saying, make sure we have that clarified. The Democratic Party, with the white nationalists, are going to use black Americans just like they use in Living Color, like Fox News used black Americans to gain an audience, get some traction, and get some capital rolling, and then kick black Americans to the curb. And they're going to do that by using the data they collected of who are the Trump humpers and independents, so they can reduce any dependency on the Black American vote in the next cycle, so Biden won't have to worry about Black Americans. Meanwhile, they're getting the person who will invest in your companies, but invest in the people who are not gangbangers. Now they'll say, "Well, we would too," but they would do it with strings to the point where they would find the persons they know will never be a threat. I'm looking for threats. I'm looking for people on my team who will be a threat. Because the one thing about the reason Her Majesty named me as a prince is because now you can never outrank me in the Commonwealth of Nations. So I can look for threats, people who will. They may become masters of the universe long after I'm passed, but the crown will go on. if they try to pull a crap, we'll know, well, now they're threatened, we'll take care of it at that time. Looking for people who sent their kids to school. Their kids worked hard. They saved. They invested. They became something. They came up with an idea. They built it. They didn't go down the path of this other path. And I don't give a damn what God they fucking believe in, as long as they uphold the Constitution. Because Christianity needs strife. Because without that outward, Christianity goes inwards and eats itself and turns into the things it despises. Secularism keeps Christianity strong. Because what's the first thing the Muslims do? What's the first thing Hindus do, or spaghetti monsters, or whatever? They all try to get rid of secularism so they can be the top dog. But if you're secular, well, you gotta, even if you hate them for being a spaghetti monster person, you still gotta have that 0 point of I still gotta treat you right. I still gotta stay within what I say I truly believe. Keeps the demons at bay. Then you get assholes like McRaven who sold his soul, and Kennedy, Catholic. Probably walk up to the Pope and lie to his face. Here's another way that's a little more or less big picture about how racism works subtly. Now I'm working with, as you know, everyone sees my fucking screen, with a particular trading venue. The owner can't doesn't want to believe that these people would want to overthrow the Constitution. He looks at Raven. He's just like me. He's a little bit racist. We're all a little bit racist, right? No, he's a big difference. And he's just like that, which means he feeds on people, souls, and he sold his soul. But that's beside the point. He doesn't want to believe that. He wants to believe that those people just didn't work hard enough and didn't do. There wouldn't. There's not all these things that are pulling. You're just didn't. How much more evidence do you fucking need? Obviously, it's not about the evidence. It's about his ego. I'll say something about snowboarding, and I watch everyone get all locked up, because that's you're not supposed to be. Only white people are supposed to snowboard. Implied statement. Just from listening to where he was going, I know he couldn't keep up with it, and he's on skis. I'm fat and overweight, but he's doing what I wanted to do. So he goes, "Well, I want to do that. I could do that," which is which is what McRaven was doing. Is still doing. Just steals your life. 20 years of stealing my fucking life. 20 plus, actually. Because he doesn't want to believe that these large hedge funds are actually literally targeting my positions, which means they're hacked his his um his servers. But the thing is, I know this because I sat there on multiple occasions. One of the greatest ones is I literally would back up the stop. 5 points, it would come up, and I'd go back it up, and I kept backing it up. Then it hit it, and then it took off. And I even would say, "Come on, Demiurge! Come on, Demiurge!" Yeah, knowing that's what it was, knowing that they were doing it on purpose. And also, I can see put a there's times when I'll put it on, put a position on, then I'll watch it stop, and it's like hit the brakes, and it'll start to come down attack, and I'll pull it, and it'll stop, and it'll go back up, and I'll put it back in, and it'll go back up, and I'll sit there and play with it, on off, watch. watching how it moves. That's how afraid they are of me. And that's why they're trying to get black Americans to attack me. That's why they're like the Sambo, and then they get the bigots like my mother's next door neighbor. Let me catch him in the house again. Last week he was inside in the middle of the night. The other day, as I was doing the great work, the Sambo comes rolling by. Now it's at 8 o'clock. He usually comes at 6, but he rolls by and has his music playing as I'm trying to go into my meditation. You might say, well, you were just listening to things. Maybe you're hearing things. No, my hearing's too precise. And his music box has a distinct sound. Every bit of electronics has a unique personality. As a WE I used to work with said trons do what trons do. And when you work with electronics long enough, you know that electronics, each piece of kit always has its own personality, especially over hours of use. And the speakers have a unique personality. So I know it was him. And so he would go away, then I would do something, move him away, and then McRae would call him and he'd move back in, and he would sit there and move back. It was like, really, that was interesting. Then I caught a bunch of SEALs yesterday when I was at the gym, all white nationalists, all with the stink of McRaven on them. All pissed off. What are you pissed off, kid? The only reason you made it through is because they helped you, not because you made it through on your own. Do you think there would be SEALs would have a 95%? There's 40% of the military population is Black African American. What 20%, 30% of Black African American in the Navy, and there's only like 3, 4, 5% of SEALs, maybe. And there's never been a outside of Admiral Losi been a melanated captain at DevGuru, and how few admirals are there? That's that's a feature, not a bug, because the psychopaths would then have to actually be good at what they are, besides trying to overthrow the Constitution of the United States, which holds back their shit behavior. The countries of EU, King Charles gets away with this, the European Union will dissolve. NATO will fall apart, and Putin will start heading west. And he will do a general mobilization, pulling from St. Petersburg and Moscow area, with Xi then taking a good quarter of a million and rolling south. And I don't do hyperbole. I don't do blah, 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 the sky is falling. I don't really give a shit about that. They'll do it slow and then they'll do it fast. I read their book, as Patton said, Rommel, you idiot, I read your book. And McRaven said, well, I read yours too. So did I, dummy. Oops. And it's not just the words, but your behaviors, the attacks, the psychic and the physical. You're responsible for all of the for thousands of sailors and veterans being homeless, responsible for the deaths of different sailors. You're just an overall piece of shit who should have never gotten 4 stars. Should have never become a captain. This is King Charles, as I said, the European Union. You're the situation, the white nationalists, these Christian white nationalists, want the Europe to fall apart. That brings in this quote, second coming of Christ, but they don't even really understand what that means. They think it's a person, foolishly. It's the Christ consciousness. But if being psychopathic, if you do negative, then they have to be the positive. There is a certain logic to that that does make sense from their perspective. They think they're going to be sitting around. Like the demons are going to gain energy to get to a higher state of vibration. That means they'd have to look themselves in the mirror, and they can't stand that. Higher vibration is a lower, it's too much. What is above can be what is below, but what is below cannot be what is above. Alpha to omega, not something to nothing, back within the donut of energy and out, down from the higher to the lower to creation and then back to creation. But those that cannot, that hate that spark of life, cannot rise. Because they hate the spark of life, because they know that without it they cannot survive, they cannot exist. Putin right now has done a masterful job of creating a big mess of things. So we have this situation in Ukraine. They're holding out. And the white Christian nationalists are screwing them over. Good job with the EU putting a foot on Orban's neck. Got to still keep your eye out for Erdogan down there in Turkey, where he pulls a little fast one as he's trying to build his caliphate and get all his build out his military. He got him some F-16s. Yeah, he thought he was going to play us, motherfucker. On immigration, I just sat there, heard something about Kirsten Cinema, listening to the plan, and the top line sounds good. Cuts the, you come here if you're actually an asylum, okay. Because there are a lot of things like with, Honduras they fixed, but maybe in Venezuela, definitely a lot of situations like that we see. And, Maduro trying to create an outside problem because his economy's tanking. But it's I see it seems all right, but you have to go back in and look at the small print and then look at it as viewed from the factors, because these assholes were 2025 who are creating that 2025 project. Doesn't matter if it's Nikki Haley or Trump, either one of them get in, they're going to turn us into a fascist state. So what would the law look like under that 2025 project under a fascist? Especially a fascist without a constitution to hold them in check. So yeah, look at the small print. Okay, did that one. So got Israel. Seems like they're saying they're talking. They're not. They're fucking finger fucking a football. Israel needs to hurry up and get this shit done. I think it's 60% of the houses in Gaza have been completely wiped out. Great. That's just going to be a humanitarian crisis because he basically the truth is, let's be real. Netanyahu wants them to take off across the border to Egypt or Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia isn't going to take anybody because they really want that Neom, that line, so that way they can have that second Suez Canal or the second the second Red Sea Canal between the Mediterranean, and they have a little city right beside it as a stopping off point for trade and shipping. Then you can have a shipping line from there into the interior of Central Asia, gets around the China's Belt and Road. So it's actually quite an interesting little position. Should see what happens. But it can't happen as long as the freaking Palestinians are acting like a bunch of dipshits. You know, the funny thing is, I sat there and I said, "Hey, man, we could have stopped every this is a long time ago. Like, like Israel needs to do this. Israel needs." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Israel's been complete assholes. Got to give it to them. Complete fucking jackasses. What they've been doing, what Netanyahu's been doing, was purposely squeezing so this would pop. I believe he allowed them, he held that information back so that he let his people get killed. I believe Netanyahu was part of it. Maybe not directly or purposely, but purposely or directly, indirectly. Knew something was coming and kind of went, yeah, whatever. Okay, that's cool. If it does, good for me, right? Because all of the Talib and whatever her name is, from Ethiopia. What's her name? Ah, shit. The squad, whatever. All they had to say was like, "Hey, yeah, no whataboutisms." Just straight up said what they did on October 7th, burning babies, was barbaric. We do not condone that type of terrorism. Okie dokie, cool. We can get the point of, hey, Israel, you need to chill the fuck out. But you couldn't do that. So it makes me wonder, do you want the bloodshed so you can have a victim? It's up to you guys. Does Islam really care about its people? Can they say, hey, some things are really kind of shitty. That behavior sucks. Using rape as a tool of war is not, that's just not cool. Burning babies, that's not cool. But how about we've got or we can't make it work. It sucks. Yeah, it did suck. It was completely apartheid. Nobody, everyone with a brain knows that. We totally get it. And we're not even saying they're going out, breaking the fence, and shooting combatants, or even just shooting people. Well, that sucks. I'd be pissed off too. Yeah, meh. But when they stepped too far. It's when they started burning babies, chopping heads off, and trying to be overly barbaric. Then we're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope nothing. Yeah, oh boy, Israel, you need to chill out now. I wish you hurry that shit up, man. You got a humanitarian problem there. We need a ceasefire for a couple of weeks. Get your people food, get them medicine. Then Israel start up, back up, finish off where they started from, because we know Hamas is going to dig another fucking tunnel. You know, and it's actually smart if Israel's smart to let it settle for a second, let the roaches crawl out, and then you come back and then okay, that's where all the roaches are at, and then you fuck them up. But sometimes you put your foot on the neck and then you let it up, let them do something stupid, then you bump in and you tighten the coil. Yeah, that's all right. But apparently the Muslims want their people dead. They need that victim. Isn't that part of the Kia? Or how the fuck you say it? As I said, I believe Muhammad did have great, was visited by Gabriel, but because of the warlike nature of the tribes during that time, they didn't listen to him until he started killing. And then, as you know, the more he became a warlord, the less Gabriel spoke to him. And the whole hate the Jews is that's just stupid. But all because, well, we didn't let you fuck you. We fucked you over, but you wouldn't allow us to. My perspective as a purely as a logical, psychological, modern day psychological perspective, Islam to me sounds like at parts if the cluster B was a religion, psychopathy was a religion. Back to John, whatever, John, the New Testament state, he pushed out of one demon, then seven return, i.e., seven return back to the nodal points of the standing wave that is what we call it, call it the chakras. The meme entities hit that seven, so you clean yourself up, and then all of a sudden you become more evil. If you're already evil, if the soul had not grown into the size, if you were disassociated in youth, childhood, so used to the chatter of the meme entity, they don't know who they are. Right now, Venezuela, everything's too quiet. As Maduro done his little attack, he started because he's really trying to go after the oil, and besides making noise, see what happens. Hope he doesn't get to the find out part. Today there was a thing that Zelensky's going to fire Zelensky. If there is the dumbest thing that could be done right now, I understand it from a power perspective. You have a dude who's way more popular than you, and you're not holding elections which is stupid because if you don't hold elections, you don't get the mandate to continue on. You want to get more people, right? No problem. We see that with what you're talking about, where you want Germany to make you, where you control the payments to the people that have skittered away out of the country, mainly the young men that have paid their way to get out of the country and getting out of military service. But what Zelensky's letting you know, but you're not fucking listening, Zelensky, is a good army is a volunteer army, and you have to give them something to volunteer for. Cowards are going to come back and they're going to think they're going to say, "Well, look, we can." No, motherfucker, you weren't here during the bad. You don't get all the goodies during the good. There's going to be billionaires made in Ukraine when this war is over. Ukraine is a wealth. It's going to be one of the richest countries in Europe, but only if the young men return and fight. And even if they don't return and fight, there's those who stayed are going to be. It's not going to make up for the trauma that they've gone through and endured, but they're going to make sure that motherfuckers that say hard times make tough men. Tough men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. They're not going to put up with the weak men who left. those hard men and hard and strong women, shield maidens who stick around. Yes, you need to get more people. Yes, the army needs to do rotations. Yes, there was an argument about the fourth of why I went to the four, why four positions. Now you understand, losing it wasn't crazy. But then our Republican friends decided to work with our American oligarchs who were trying to squeeze as much LNG out of Europe, profits of LNG from Europe. So because, which is dangerous for the European Union, because as the saying is, one is none, two is one, or as old man Robinson used to say, always have more than one supplier. I'm all for America. Don't get me wrong. I'm USA all the way, baby. But we do single source, that creates hatreds over the long term, and it weakens the European, which means it weakens our allies, which means it weakens us. It kind of reminds me, because we have these greedy little fuckers. We have the helium reserve. This is a little bit off, but it's in the same vein. We have the helium reserve, and also we privatize the helium reserve, which is a strategic commodity because helium can't be made. That's bullshit. That needs to be reversed. We, the people, paid for the infrastructure. It's our infrastructure. Now you make money and we can sell it to whomever at whatever market price, but it should go to we, the people. We need to have that as a reserve, as a strategic reserve, not for some fucktard who wants to jack himself off and steal the commons that's necessary for life in our medical equipment and different scientific experiments. We'll be out of helium in no time if they let that happen. And when we need it or in a situation, we won't have it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So back to Ukraine. You're not voting. Got a martial law. I think your constitution was written by oligarchs, so oligarchs can take over the country. Put in there you no voting during martial law. Bullshit. You need to undo martial law and have voting. People need to know what they're fighting for. If you take away that vote, you do a Churchill. Becomes once because the wartime leader sometimes not necessary for the peacetime. Sometimes it's just hey, let's try something new, keep things fresh. So if you fire Zelensky, Zelensky, hey, we know you changed generals. What you saying that stalemate? There's tensions. You two need to figure it out. General Zelensky's things he likes to push. He's that antagonistic pain in the ass. You just want to crack him once in the jaw. Shut up, motherfucker. Then he goes, oh, that's the edge. That's his style. It's annoying. But you have conscripts. You get the situation. They're unmotivated, and it's not good. I know you need to put new people in. And America's, Trump sucking off Putin's. has the MAGA Republicans forcing us to stab you in the back. All I can say is hold on. Help Biden quit having this asshole fuck with me. Quit backing, quit trying to overturn the Constitution of the United States. Biden and Schumer think they're going to be able to, well, ha ha, it's only be a little bit. It's only a little bit. It's only a little bit. And a little bit turns out to be 20 miles down the road. We live in precarious times. We can go through this and come out greater and stronger than we ever were, or we can destroy ourselves. We still might come out bigger and stronger, but not in the way I think most people want. Because the bigger and stronger will be the few, not the many. Slava Ukraine. Glory to democracy. And may the flag forever wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.